had no qualms of just, after the hot dog talk, you had no qualms talking to me about everything, whether I wanted to or not. But you had that open because you knew that you weren't going to get judged for it.
Which was the important thing,
right.
Having lack of judgment. And I think that is an important factor because we live in a world where you're consistently judged. You can talk to people all day long and they'll say, oh, I'm not judging or anything like that. But they will judge you, and as much as, Mom will sit here saying that, there's no judgment, in the back of her mind, she still has a little bit of judgment, but you have to give that judgment to give the correct response, in a sense. You got to judge the situation.
Advice, in fact, giving suggestions of, hey, maybe you should look at it this viewpoint.
Right. There's levels of judgment.
Right.
And
but
it's
you're
the
not
fact
still
that
judging on the fact that, it's on the thought that I'm throwing out these ideas to you, but guess what? I'm okay and I'm still going to love you if you do the total opposite effect, and I know it's going to fail because it failed the time before that. So,
right.
If that's the thing, is that judgmental, okay, comes, it didn't work, so you come and talk to me or, complain to me that it didn't work, and,
and
and
have
of
a
course
subtle way of saying, I told you so.
Well, it's very subtle and very nice, and I just kind of might say...
You don't sit there and laugh for like 20 minutes. It failed like I said it was going to, so you're going to do it the way I told you to.
Right. Well...
Like every aspect of my life, yeah.
I mean, I might a little, no.
So, again, about that judgment thing again? Uh-huh. Well, what was that judgment when you laughed about some of the stuff that I did?
Well, because, it was fun moments in our growing up lives because as a parent, you're still growing too because it doesn't stop just because you're a parent and you suddenly have to be in charge of a little person.
Oh,
and
I learned. Oh, yeah.
and the thing is that the oldest is the learning tool. You were talking about that earlier today before we got Bro on the line. You were mentioning about the whole, the oldest kid thing. The oldest kid, they would get punished and, a slap in the mouth for doing this. And then the youngest kid did the same thing a couple years later and they get a sit down talk to. Yeah. And, that whole difference of that first kid is like makes me wonder how Bro survived because he was the oldest kid. But that whole, you gotta learn what's the right way and the wrong way. But with you having two little ones very close together, you're gonna have very domino quick learning effect on both because they're gonna do new things at very similar time frames.
When I met my youngest now, she was not a very social butterfly. She made more sound effects, and that was pretty much the extent of her social ability. Then when I started introducing more and more, my oldest, she, being a social butterfly, she loved talking to everybody. She had to tell stories for days. Oh, the stories. You cannot get this kid to stop telling you stories. There's always a story. There's always something exciting going on, which I love, because, she's learning.
She has your imagination.
And it's great. And what really makes it even better is the fact that now my youngest has established that imagination. Everything is an imagination to her. Everything is, when we were waiting for you earlier today, she was sitting on the stairs and she pulled a me. She looked up at the clouds and she said, "What are the clouds?" I said, "They're clouds." She's like, "Yeah, but what are clouds?" I said, They're clouds." She's like, "No, but what are they?" I was like, "Okay, so now we're getting into the definite of things." I said, "They're, moisture accumulated, so on and so forth." Then we went into a giant scientific explanation of the whole thing. And she looked at me, she said, "Oh, okay." And that was it, and in her head, she heard what she wanted to hear. and later on it's going to be her imagination about things. You know, she watches things now and she develops them into her own reality that she's creating for herself. She's always been an independent kid. She's, you know, very self-sufficient. She has the ability of coming downstairs, turning on my TV, turning on my Xbox, putting in a movie, and even hitting play on the movie so she can actually sit down and watch a movie. She even gotten to the point of where she can go into the fridge and grab out one of her Lunchables and, you know, make herself food. You know, she's only 4 years old. You know, it was such a rapid development. As soon as she hit a certain age, it just clicked in her head right then and there. Katrina had such a development at a similar age. You know, but, you know, her difference was she was around a lot more adults who interacted with her, not into a childish or baby standpoint. They always communicated with her at a intellectual level. You know, they, you know, talked to her like.
But they also gave her everything she needed so she didn't have to be as independent.
Right. She became a little bit more, you know, dependent. She always wants someone to give something to her. She has to have someone do something for her or something like that. And again, that is something that's slowly kind of wearing on my youngest now. She just today, before we left, she came downstairs and she's like, "I gotta go potty." I said, "Well, then what are you doing down here? Go potty." She's like, "Okay, I just wanted to let you know." I said, "You don't have to let me know. Just go potty." It's the fact that she has to, you know, almost ask permission when she doesn't need it. Yeah, yes, more appropriately, she has to announce it. You know, I wish she would announce some of the things that she was doing wrong. That would make my life a little bit easier instead of me having to go upstairs and wondering why there's lipstick all over my floor or, you know, soap all over my bathroom. That'd be very nice to announce, "Hey, Dad, can I play with the soap all over your floor?" No, don't do that. That's not something you should do. But, you know, beggars can't be choosers, I guess. But, you know, I mean, it's the fact that they picked up on each other very quickly, you know, and both attitudes inflicted on each other. Katrina, being a very dependent person, is learning to be a little bit more independent, but she's also learning to cooperate a little bit better. Now getting into the age where she's going to be going to school, working with Zoe and playing with Zoe and stuff like that, she's learning to kind of learn that some people don't do what they're told just because you asked them to. You know, because Zoe, being an independent player, she likes playing by herself sometimes. She doesn't always listen to Katrina, so she, you know, does her own thing once in a while. And Katrina's slowly starting to pick up on that. She doesn't always have to, you know, listen when they're playing and stuff like that. She can do her own thing. Yes, that's a consistent battle, but, you know.
Yeah. Well, bro, you have had an opportunity to just kind of chill and listen to majority of this evening discussion. Give us some thoughts about, you know, late parenting, because, you know, you're kind of, you hit the late stage of parenting, but in a sense you still have to be a parent, right?
Yeah, for sure. For sure. And
so how does that feel for you?
Well, first of all, it's wonderful. I mean,
Isn't it though? It's awesome.
Wonderful. It's just the best. It's the best thing.
Unforgettable feeling.
Yeah, it's just wow. I mean, I'm just like, wow. I wish I could say something more eloquent than that, but I really can't and do it justice.
Any parents would exactly say the same thing.
They know when you say that, they're all with you. They're like, "Yep, right on. You speaking it right there." Wow. Yep. But how is it for you? Yeah. How is it for you? Because I've been telling about the perspective of that whole doing the whole generational stuff, talking about my two. We're getting the perspective of him and his
Akaeka.
younger one. Yeah, Akaeka. And his two younger ones, and really hitting that stages of life. And you have a very unique perspective of, you have yours as pretty much a semi-adult. This is a really hard stage. It could say, and on on how to things that he did at this stage that gave me heart palpitations. My youngest can say some of the fun stages he gave me heart palpitations, and they're exactly in the age of your parenting stage right now.
And not
How
only
was that for you?
Well, let me add just a little bit more into that. It's the fact that, you're stepping into that stage. You didn't grow up and watch that stage come about. It's just going to hit you full force. You didn't get the time to prepare what kind of stage it's going to be into. Like, being me, I stepped into a younger stage of being a step parent and seeing, okay, I can see where this child's going, but I've established a father figure. You, on the other sense, have now just walked into the life, and now that whole step parent, how do you put your foot down when it comes to that stage is a more appropriate, I think, discussion on that. Sorry.
Right. No, that makes sense. The thing that keeps coming back to my mind is, to give a little context for folks, I came in as a step parent to a 20-year-old. And so there's a lot of,
that's a challenge.
There's a lot that's already there in her life. And so in one sense, there's not the same pressing need that a much younger child would have who's looking to develop identity. She has a much stronger identity already that's very independent. And she's also sort of past the age where, how can I say it? It's not she's not looking for validation or identity building or some of the structures that even like in the teenage to late teenage years are. So interestingly enough, one of the things that I think she wants is she wants a recognition of space. So she wants to be not necessarily treated like a much younger child. She wants sort of recognition of this adult situation, and that's pretty interesting. It's pretty awesome. It's pretty intense. And so I don't feel like I have crushing expectations. I actually feel like giving space is actually one of the best things that can happen. And then just try to sort of be sort of relatively nearby in case, she needs something or something comes up, or, hey, I need you now. And then boom, I'm there. So that's been an interesting challenge. Did that answer it?
Well, I got one stuff. I got something on that behalf. And it was nice for me when I was, coming into this relationship. My wife immediately saw the fact that I had a child of my own. I raised her to the best of my ability, with a co-parenting sense, with my ex and everything like that. So she knew that I was a good father, and right away, me and my youngest now, Zoe, her and I clicked right away. Me and her just got along famously. She was my little buddy. But, I think in the sense of being a step parent, for me, I was lucky enough for my wife to be like, listen, you're dad now. You can put your foot down. You can make your rules. There's some things where Mama Bear comes out and she's like, listen, it's okay. Just relax or something like that. But, we're on your aspect now, her being a little bit older, she understands, the more, understandings of right and wrong and how to do things, but how, on your perspective, if she were to act out, or if you would have to be assertive to the point of where you have to put your foot down, where or your comfortabilities lie as being a step parent, as being as firm as possible without overstepping your boundaries, and how do you work yourself to establishing a much stronger foundation for yourself, being a step parent just coming in at this age of her life?
Well, I don't feel that I have much to offer. Not much to offer. I don't feel like it's part of our role for me to be a strong parent or a strict parent in the sense of setting boundaries and expectations. I think she's wants to be her own person and wants that respected, and I think that's, I don't mind giving it, of course. I actually think it's a better thing there, but just seeing myself as a supporter is the thing that is driving me. What can I do to support where you are right now? And if that means setting boundaries, then she'll give permission for me to do that. And I don't expect that very much, frankly, because young people want to be independent. They very rarely want to be ruled over or told, these are your constraints, these are your boundaries that you have to be within. So that feels kind of liberating to me, if you know what I mean. But
Mm-hmm.
I also just want to, I check in with my wife, her mother, and I just, how's she doing? What is she facing? A mother-daughter interaction can be a lot more intimate, and so I can sort of work by proxy. If my wife says something to me, privately, then I feel I can act on that and go to her in that vein.
Right.
So does that answer your question?
Yeah, pretty much. Because you, in a sense, from my perspective and everything like that. Now, again, my stepchild, who I consider fully mine at all times, but she was lucky enough to be at a certain age where she was able to just cling to me. She sees me as nothing more than a father figure. I am dad. She is my daughter, and that's all there is to it. And you're lucky in the aspect as well that, your stepchild being at the age that they're at now, is already in a relevance of independence and self-sufficient enough to the point of where your guidelines are only meant to be, what can I do to help you achieve what you're already trying to achieve? Because I know in some aspects, people walking into a family, having this step parent of some sort, working with stepchildren, there's a lot of tension, and it builds a lot of tension in a relationship, not only just with the parent and the child, but also with the parents themselves, trying to work with these boundaries, because the children, if they're at a particular age, I would honestly say from 10 to teenage, past teenage from a little bit, that standpoint of walking into a child's life from at that point in time is probably a very, very difficult and challenge for any step parent because of, there's not a lot of firmness that you can do without confirmation of the other, which makes you look, in a sense, weak. You're unable to stand your ground because you haven't had that rapport with that child. You weren't there from birth. You weren't there from, the raising of everything. So, both of us were, in a sense, equally blessed to be able to just say, okay, now we have this rapport with the children because, that my child knows I'm dad and, dad's word is law, and yours, knowing the fact that you're a father figure and respects you as a father figure, will take your word to heart, not in, just in one ear and out the other, will respect you in a sense. I was just wondering if there was still that, little bit of tension between, any kind of conflictions in the relationship on that aspect. But I think you pretty much covered it up as well as can be said for your aspect.
Well, an interesting thing, and Sis will laugh at this. It's a good joke, if you know me, because what, first thing I did is I went and got a book. How did, that's my go-to thing when life issues come up. Go and find a book, how to solve blah, blah, blah. Buy it and read it. And so I went and I got the book, how to deal with your new daughter kind of thing. And I have to say, I was more confused after reading it than I was before.
I knew you would be. I so knew you would be because, the things that you usually go in a book for is very finite and definitive and
you can't find emotion in books.
Yeah.
You can't find how to love your child in a book.
Boy,
so I do have a giggle for that for you because that is kind of cute.
Oh, I knew you'd enjoy that. If you could see it, I could see you picturing me walking into the bookstore and going, looking
How
for that.
to a teenage daughter, please. Where's that?
Yeah,
Where's that section?
It's right next to the movie 13 Going on 30.
Yeah, the bookseller is just like, oh, okay, another one of those. Aisle 17, please.
That's funny. That's cute.
Isn't that great?
That's great. I love it.
Like I read the book, and the first time I read it through, I felt like, okay, I'm an expert now. I'm completely ready to handle the situation of having a daughter.
All right.
And then I started thinking about it, and my head started exploding. So,
because actually none of those situations is something that, like, wait, I haven't gotten to that chapter yet. You can't have that emotion yet.
Yeah, exactly. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, and I think it's, in a sense, too, Mom here can agree with it, too. It's the fact that every child is different. Even from this, same family, I'm, saying, I got a daughter from one mother and a daughter from another mother, but, Mom can clearly be say the same thing. Every child is different. You can have a similar scenario, but it is completely different all in the same way, too, because it's just what situation they got themselves into and how they're able to deal with that situation as well, as long as with you being able to say, what can I do?
Well, the other
I
thing, too,
wouldn't know anything like that of having two totally different children. I wouldn't know what you would be referring to in any way about that because, I mean, I had to explain to you why the sky was blue. We couldn't just say because that's the way God made it. No, we had to find out the scientific way God made it.
We actually had to find a book.
Yeah, and this is before the internet.
Yeah,
people.
So we actually had to go out there and find the book and see why this guy was blue. And it still wasn't good enough for me.
No, it wasn't. And then I
needed more.
One who just wanted to count to infinity and beyond at age 3. So, and read and do everything. Yes. I mean, so very different, very huge world views of kids. So that was beautifully perspective and you could read all the how-to books to be a parent and till you're there, because that's why I said that whole, wait a minute, I haven't read that chapter yet. How do I do that? Because, you can get ideas and you can get perspectives, but that whole dealing with it is just so.
It's a whole nother experience.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So, bro, go ahead. You were saying.
Oh, well, I've been it's been very fortunate because I would say she has been on the extremely well-adjusted side. And there's a lot of reason to rejoice there. That's been definitely helping things. The other thing is just finding organic situations to spend time together is part of it too, because I think she wants to spend time together, but she sort of doesn't want to force this thing, this relationship or this situation. So it's like, what can I do to enable things? And one of the things that I do is also related again to mother. And so, I ask, I ask for mom to go and have special days with her on a more regular basis, and just, girls like to go out with girls and giggle and hang out and do girl things like shop and have fun doing the things that they like to do. And so I think that keeping that thing going is actually makes the parent dynamic healthier. And then if she wants something more, just be there, just be close by.
Right,
Or how about you calling her up and say, let's go have lunch?
Oh yeah, definitely. We've done some of that. We haven't done a lot of that, but there's she's new to the country, so there's a lot of adjustment experience happening. So it's very interesting in that regard.
I'm sure. I bet it is.
And also I can say too, and I'm sure Mom can agree in some aspect too, you will always have two completely different types of parents in one relationship. You have the go-to parent, which in my sense is my mother. I am a mommy's boy. I don't care. I'm proud to say it. My mom is my best friend. She's
my bestie.
Right. She is my only true friend that I really have, except for my wife. She, quite literally, we can go out and do, whatever it is that just pops in our mind. We could just sit on her couch and just watch shows all day. And we'd be happy as happy as all can be. And then, I have my father, who is not the person I would like to take out as much as possible, but, I do spend time with him as frequently as I can, for the aspect of, he is a good motivator in some aspects. He's knowledgeable on some things that, are needed to be done and stuff like that. The one thing that we share, we own a haunted house. For any listeners who live within the Pittsburgh area, check out the Shadows Haunted Attraction. Gotta give a shout out to my own business that I own. But, so that's a similarity that we have as being handymen, being working with our hands and stuff like that. That's our bond in a sense. That's what we like to do. So, as being parents, you have parents that you go to for fun and activities, and parents that you relate to for more personal sit down comfortabilities and stuff like that. Or a mixture of all of that in a sense. There's just one parent that one kid will always go to no matter what it is or why or whatever, and then there's one parent that you just want to take out all the time. You just want to show them off, be like, hey, check out, so my mom or my dad or whatever, and it's good to establish that kind of, I guess, background in a sense. You know, you want to figure out what kind of parent you want to be and make sure it works with your partner as well, you know. Make sure that it works out. My daughter likes to make up a little song about me once in a while when I have to be serious and set rules and tell her to clean her room. She likes to go up the stairs going, I'm Daddy Magic and I'm grumpy. Okay, well, you know, so, you know, I'm the grumpy parent sometimes, but, you know, she still sees me as the playful one because some days I just need my kids, you know. I just go upstairs and I just lay on her bed and I grab one of her toys and we sit there for a couple minutes and we play, you know, and that's just our me time, you know. When she gets older, you know, maybe she'll want to go out and do something with me occasionally, but who knows, she might want to hang out with her mom more than she wants to hang out with me, and I won't get upset about it. It's just how the structure was made as they were growing up. So.
Right. Right. Well, you know, I might maybe actually, I might need to consult with you here on this father-daughter thing because you know, I've read from a book on it right now, and you know, how's the saying?
It doesn't do you justice.
Russian, where angels fear to tread.
Yeah, right. Pretty much.
So
yeah,
maybe you can help me.
It's a difficult subject, and you know, everyone who has certain kids, like I have, you know, 2 daughters. So, you know, having 2 daughters, I would like to say it's nicer than having 2 boys, but people who have 2 boys say they would rather have 2 girls. You know,
No.
Well, okay, well, Mom might be an exception.
But of course, I'm also the tomboy who would rather be playing out in the dirt and building cars with you guys too. So, and not going shopping and giggling as a bro may have mentioned earlier.
Right.
Hence the
That's true.
No giggle I said earlier. So I was very blessed with that, and it's very cute when my granddaughters do come over. And you know, I think the first couple of times the older one would come over and she would be in a cute little dress, and I'd be like, change her because we're going to go play in mud.
Yeah.
You know, hey, this isn't cutesy time. This is go get dirty time. And I get to show that off to the youngest granddaughter as well. We went, a couple of weeks ago, we were playing in mud puddles, and she was squishing dirt between her toes, and she wasn't sure she liked that very much.
She was a little iffy.
She was a little iffy on it, but but it was something neat, and I can actually get dirty, and I'm not going to get yelled at for that, And
it was great.
And, yeah, and dirt is encouraged when going to to be one. So yeah, and that's kind of a fun thing that I like to, be able to be the, if we want to just go, find worms and play in grass, Nemo's house would be the place to go. That's kind of something I like.
Walk down the creek
right.
or something like that, crayfish or something like that.
Yeah, because, where do you think you got the love of the outside? Because, Brandon, he was a little too young, but that was something that you did along with Graham, and and that was one of the most fun things that you would always beg for,
Oh, I would look forward to it. That was the greatest thing. That was the only
Brandon looked forward to it because we would sing the We're on the Way to Graham's house. So
yeah, that was about it.
Yeah, that was that. But once we were there, okay, can we go back? Because I'm done singing the song. So
there's no on the way to back home song. So.
Right. And there was not really video games at Graham's house, so I'm not all that interested.
Right.
But yeah, you really embraced that. So and I think you're going to find that in the differences between your very girly girl and your very tomboy girl. and one's going to go wrench with you while the other one says, is the car fixed? Because, Mom, you know I've got to take me to the mall. I got my hair done soon, and I need these new pair of jeans.
Why are you very Pittsburgh right now?
I don't know. But anyways, I'm just saying that that's what's going to happen, is that you're going to have one who's going to be wrenching and one who's going to be shopping.
I'm quite aware of this.
You're going to definitely have to adjust and deal with that. That's going to be fun. I'm going to sit back and, you know,
it's going to be a ride.
Graham has done before, I raised mine, you raise yours, mentality, and enjoy the show, because I'm sure that Graham had a couple of moments of that while watching me raise mine.